It's a fertility scam that's ruthless and cruel. Women pay large sums for fake treatments which they're told will guarantee conception. They're then tricked into believing that they're pregnant and going into labour before they're given drugs and sent home with a baby which it's believed has been trafficked.
In the shadows of Nigeria's bustling cities, hidden behind the walls of supposed reputable clinics and medical offices, an insidious scam is preying on the deepest desires and fears of countless women. It's a scam that promises what many desire most, a child of their own. Yet, behind the facade of hope and happiness lies a nightmare of exploitation, deceit, and horror. This is the story of the Nigerian's miracle baby scam, a fraudulent operation so well crafted, so convincing. It deceived not only women desperate for motherhood, but entire communities. This scam have ruined lives, separated families, and left behind a trail of devastation. But who is behind it? How does it operate? And most importantly, what happens to the women who are its victims? Join me as we unravel the disturbing truth behind Nigerians' miracle pregnancy and how, for some, the journey to motherhood turned into a nightmare.
A woman is convinced that if she visits a cryptic nurse or a doctor, she's going to get an injection, a tablet, or a solution that she will drink. And after she goes home, she sleeps with her husband, she's going to get pregnant.
It starts with a promise so alluring that it's hard to resist, especially when the pain of infertility weighs highly on your heart. Women from all walks of life who have longed for a child of their own are drawn into the web of what seems like a miracle. Fertility clinics and medical practitioners, some posing as highly qualified doctors, advertise a special treatment. It's called the cryptic pregnancy method, and it claims to ensure conception against all odds. This clinic makes women believe they are offering a cutting-edge, foolproof solution to infertility. The treatment sounds miraculous. No invasive surgery, no long waiting times. All you have to do is trust them and you will be pregnant. But these promises are as false as the hope they sell. Beneath the surface, a far darker truth lies hidden. Women who visited these clinics are often met with a sympathetic doctor who listens carefully to their struggles. Some are even told that they have a rare condition that makes it difficult for them to conceive. But with this special treatment, they will be able to become pregnant. The treatment varies. Sometimes it's an injection, sometimes an oral medication, and other times they are told that they would need to undergo a special cleansing of the womb. But the truth? It's all a lie. A carefully orchestrated hoax designed to take advantage of the most vulnerable people. Take the case study of Temilade, a woman from Lagos who has been struggling with infertility for over 5 years. She was desperate for a child, and when a friend told her about a clinic promising to help women like her, she was intrigued. The clinic's reputation was so impeccable, at least that was what it seemed like. She has heard stories of women who have successfully become pregnant through the treatment. How could she resist? After paying thousands of naira for the treatment and undergoing the so-called miraculous procedure, Temilade's situation took a dark turn. Weeks turned into months, and she was still waiting for the miracle that never came. What she didn't know was that the clinic she trusted was operating under a false pretense, exploiting women's desperation for profit. As weeks pass, women who undergo the so-called miraculous treatment are told to follow strict guidelines. They are given promises of unusual side effects, nausea, changes in appetite, bloating. There are supposedly signs that the treatment is working. They are encouraged to take frequent pregnancy tests, and each time the result is positive. But here is the catch: it's not real. The symptoms they experience, They are nothing more than side effects of sedatives, drugs, and substances designed to stimulate pregnancy. For some women, the swelling of their abdomen becomes noticeable, sometimes appearing like the early stages of pregnancy. Their bodies change, and they start to believe it's working. The scam grows more insidious as they begin to take on physical markers of pregnancy, with each passing day reinforcing the illusion. But while their bellies grow, their lives are slowly being manipulated, pushed deeper into the scam's grip. Every visit to the clinic is another step in their journey to deceit. Some victims even report being given medications that are designed to make them feel physically pregnant, with bloating and discomfort mimicking the signs of a growing fetus. Women begin to take up the role of expectant mothers, attending prenatal checkups, buying baby clothes, and preparing for a life that doesn't exist. Then comes the day that the clinic tells the women it is time to give birth. The moment they've waited for, the culmination of 9 months of supposed pregnancy.
Anybody that tells you will have a child through crypto pregnancy is a liar. You are going to be giving another person's child, a trafficked child.
But what happens next is a calculated deception. The women are told they need to undergo labor induction. It's presented as a necessary step to bringing the child into the world. The procedure is described in great details, creating an illusion of authenticity. These women, already exhausted by the emotional and physical toil, are then administered sedatives or more hallucinogenic drugs and put them into a dreamlike state. They are barely aware of what's happening to their bodies as they are sedated and unconscious. When they wake up, the story they are told is both heart-wrenching and surreal. They are presented with a baby, a child they believe they have given birth to. But this child, the baby in their arm, is not theirs. It has been sourced from a vulnerable woman, often under duress, who has been coerced into giving up their child. The baby is then handed to the victim, who is convinced they've just given birth. For these women, the moment they hold the baby is the culmination of 9 months of false hope. The truth comes to light in various ways. Sometimes years later, when a woman seeks to register her child for school or when medical complications arises, it's then that the devastating truth is uncovered. The baby is not hers, and the entire pregnancy was fabricated. One of the most chilling aspects of the Nigerian miracle baby scam is that many victims are not aware they've been exploited until it's too late. They believe they have given birth to the child in their arms, only to discover the baby was trafficked from another woman. But these women are not just victims of deception, they are victims of human trafficking. The babies they believe they inherited have been sold to them from other desperate women, often younger women, who were coerced or threatened into giving up their children. These children, taken from one woman and given to another, are sold for large sums of money. And the worst part, the feeling of betrayal. Trusting so-called medical professionals, believing in their expertise, only to realize that they were complicit in a conspiracy of deception. The shame and anger that accompanies these discoveries are unimaginable. Many women found themselves questioning everything about their lives. The deep sense of guilt they feel, asking themselves why they didn't see the signs, why they were so easily deceived, can be overwhelming. It's a trauma that doesn't just affect the victim, but often extends to their family and friends, who were also convinced by the scam. To understand the true scope of this scam, it's essential to hear the stories of those who have lived through it. These are the women whose lives have been torn apart by the so-called miracle pregnancy. Women who trusted, believed, and ultimately suffered. Take the case of Amina, a woman from Kaduna, who has been struggling with infertility for nearly a decade. She was married young and for years dreamed of having children. But after numerous attempts at traditional fertility treatment, Amina's hope began to fade. That's when she heard about the clinic in Lagos that promised to help women like her. During an interview, Amina said, "I thought I was finally going to be a mother. They told me they had a special treatment that would make me get pregnant. I didn't even think twice because I trusted the doctors. I wanted so badly to have a child. After the treatment, my stomach started swelling and I thought, this is it. I am finally going to be a mother. I felt happiness that I have never felt before. But when they brought me the baby, something didn't feel right. I looked at her and I felt something was off. I didn't know until later she wasn't mine. That story is far more unique. In fact, she's one of the many women who have experienced the cruelty of this scam. Thousands of women all across Nigeria has fallen victim to this deception. And many of them, like Amina, didn't realize that they have been tricked until years later when the truth finally came to light. What makes the Nigerian miracle baby scam even more disturbing is the horrifying connection to human trafficking. Why do women are led to believe that they were giving birth? What makes the Nigerian miracle baby scam even more disturbing is the horrifying connection to human trafficking. Why the women are led to believe that they are giving birth to their own children? The babies they are handed often come from mothers who were coerced, tricked, or outright forced to give them up. Investigators have uncovered that some of these women who are used as baby sources are often young girls and women who has been preyed upon by the same scam operators. These babies are taken from these vulnerable women, sometimes without their consent, and sold to the victims of the scam for a price. In some cases, these women are told that they are undergoing medical procedures to help with infertility or to save their pregnancy, only to be told later that they must give up their babies. The psychological manipulation is so intense that many of these women feel they have no choice but to comply, fearful of the consequences if they refuse. This video was taken by an undercover journalist who infiltrated one of these clinics. As the footage reveals, women are being told that they are being offered treatment to help them with their pregnancy, but they are unknowingly being prepared for exploitation of their children. It's a chilling look into how deep this scam runs. The Nigerian government, along with international organizations, has been working tirelessly to uncover the truth behind this scam. They've launched investigations, arrested several key figures involved in the network, and started to dismantle the operation. But despite these efforts, the scam continues to thrive, hidden behind the walls of unregulated clinics. One of the main challenges in eradicating this scam is the lack of awareness. Many women who are victims don't know where to run to for help. They are often too embarrassed to speak out, fearing that their families will judge them, or that they will lose the child they now called their own. In a culture where infertility is seen as a sensitive topic, many women are too ashamed to admit they've been duped. As a result, the scam thrives in the shadows, with countless women suffering in silence. But the authorities are not backing down. Nigeria's police have arrested several individuals suspected of running these illegal operations. In addition to the clinics, investigators have uncovered an underground network of traffickers who supply babies to these scams, perpetuating a cycle of exploitation that affects everyone involved. As the authorities close in on the perpetrators of these scams, the legal battles begins. Women like Amina and Temilade are now fighting for justice, demanding accountability for the pain they suffer. Many have taken these cases to court, suing the clinics and the doctors who misled them. Some have even filed criminal charges against those who were involved in the trafficking of babies. However, the legal process has been slow, with corruption that runs deep in some sectors of Nigerian society. The victim often finds themselves facing obstacles at every turn. It is not good to justice for many of these women. The emotional tolls of revealing their trauma in the court is almost too much to bear. But they remain steadfast, determined to ensure that no other woman suffers the way they did. The miracle baby scam is more than just a crime. It's a societal issue that speaks to the deep-rooted stigma surrounding infertility. and the length to which some will go to achieve what society sees as a perfect family. On the contrary, where family is central to one's identity, the pressure to conceive can be so overwhelming. But the scam also shed light on the lack of proper regulation in the medical field, especially when it comes to fertility clinics and treatments. Many of these clinics operate without necessary certifications, and the doctors running them are not always licensed or trained professionals. This is a crisis that goes beyond just the victims. It is a problem that affects the entire medical system in Nigeria. While some of these women find joy in their newfound miracle children, the emotional scars of those who were duped to remain. These scars don't just affect the women, but their families as well, their husbands, parents, and extended family who were also part of the deception. The psychological damage is profound, trust is shattered, and the emotional toll is far-reaching. For some women, the grief of losing a child they believed was theirs is compounded by the fear that they may never be able to trust again. The Nigerian miracle baby scam is not just a story of deception and heartbreak. It is a call to action, a call for stronger law, better regulation, and more awareness about the dangers of unregulated fertility treatment. And more importantly, it is a call for society to stop stigmatizing infertility and give every woman the support and resources she needs to make the best choices for life. As we look ahead, the fight for justice continues, but the hope that through education, awareness, and advocacy, we can create a safe world for those who has been victimized by these heartless criminals. There is one lesson to take from this tragedy, is that we must always question the promises that seems too good to be true, and we must never stop fighting for the truth.